everybody? Tyre Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully everyone's doing well. This is take two because I actually tried to make this video this morning, but unfortunately something went wrong with the computer and the video never made it to export. So big apology on that one. It's been a couple days since I put up a video, which is really irritating. But here I am now though, so make the most of that. But in the meantime, hope everyone's doing well. Happy New Year. We're we're gonna be pretty busy in the days ahead here, because if you look to the screen to your right, you see, of course, the first 3 days for no severe weather. But if you look towards the 8th, here we go. And then if you even look through days 4 through 8, days 4, 5 have severe weather potential. Day 7 has the 15% area, and then day 8 has predictability too low. So that just tells you that business is about to pick up. We've been talking about this potentially happening for a while, and it looks like it's starting to come into fruition now, finally. So buckle your seatbelts. The start of 2024 might get pretty interesting here. Also, consider hitting that like button. If you're new, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. Definitely looking to really add to the channel this year as we continue to go forward here. Some really cool stuff's in store, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that, those of you that have been here for a while especially. But that being said, with business picking up here, definitely also want to hit that share button too. That being said, let's get into the beginning of this. We'll kind of take a slight look at the rainfall potential with the upcoming systems and also the snowfall potential. We'll start out with the snow, which is the screen to the left here. You can see that right now we already have ongoing snow over here towards the west, especially towards the Sierra Mountains. Not surprising for this time of year, but we have been dealing with an atmospheric river here, so we've had some pretty significant snow ongoing over here for a little bit now. The last couple seasons have been really good to this area. Pretty much have knocked out the drought within the course of the last year, and now we're getting into the surpluses for this year once again. It's good to see that, but we just keep in mind, and last year was a great reminder, too much of something isn't always a good thing. But that being said, as we continue to go forward here, you can begin to start to see the snowstorm begin to move further and further off to the east with each scan here. This is looking at tomorrow afternoon, or actually Thursday afternoon, excuse me. And you can see that the potential for snowfall for accumulations greater than 1 inch now started to shift its way into Colorado, parts of New Mexico. And as we go into Friday, it even starts to make its way towards the southern plains. And this is going to be the system on the 6th. We briefly touched on it right before the year ended. So we're going to, of course, be doing a refresher on it. And we'll have a video up tomorrow discussing it a little bit more in depth as we're getting into range of some of the shorter range models now. But the potential for wintry precipitation over here, especially towards the central plains, is going to be on the increase as time goes on, even beyond the 6th. Now, also with these bigger storm systems on the way, there is also the potential for increased rainfall totals, potentially even excessive. If we look over to the screen to the right here, first 3 days, rather docile, but as we go towards day 4, and while yes, you're thinking, okay, it's marginal risk, nothing major to talk about here at the moment, it's all the way out on day 4. Typically, when you see these types of risk being put out this far in advance, there's a decent chance that they'll get upgraded. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a slight risk. I wouldn't say that there's going to be anything at moderate risk or higher, but this is definitely something to pay attention to as well. I do think this will mainly be associated with severe weather though, albeit I am not quite sure what the threat is for the 6th. All, of course, right now we know is the 8th. And then as we go towards day 5, we see that excessive rainfall threat expand a little further off to the east. So go ahead and look at the model data here, and we'll kind of get an idea of what to expect. Starting out with the upper levels of the atmosphere here, it's no real surprise that we're going to be seeing a lot of activity here, just giving you a fair warning. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind with the timing that we have here, the Euro only goes up to 240 hours on 12Z. On 18Z runs, which is what we're on now, would be 90 hours. So we've actually gone back to 12Z. But if you look on the Euro to the left here, on the left screen here for you, here's that first storm system coming in. This is going to be a big catalyst behind our wintry precipitation here. And the interesting thing to make note of is once we get past this time frame, the Euro and the GFS have two entirely different scenarios here. So it's going to be interesting to see which of these two scenarios play out. I did get a sneak peek of this while I was at work. So I kind of already have an idea of what this run is going to look like. But for the most part, I'm mainly thinking this is going to be a bigger system for the northeast. Towards the deep south, you could see some flurries, but that's really about it. Like I said, we're looking at the tail of two models here. So what one model is showing you, while it's not going to be an extreme difference between the other, the track of where that low pressure goes, its intensity and its progression are going to be very different. In fact, I haven't even had a chance to look at the 18Z run, so it's a little bit of a reaction here for you too, if you want to call it that. Then here comes our system on the 7th and into the 8th. This is going to be our severe weather catalyst right here. You can see a pretty impressive looking trough here at this point. Looks a little bit different here in comparison to what I was seeing this morning when I was trying to make the video earlier. The progression seems a little bit more orientated towards the west, or the convergence divergence, I should say, is more orientated a little further to the west than what the outlook from this morning is showing here. We'll be sure to probably see some updates as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Probably by morning, maybe even as early as tonight, we may see a little bit of a change here. But we'll have to see how the Storm Prediction Center looks at this and kind of calls it from that point. A lot of time for things to change. It's a day 7 outlook, so 168 hours. That's a long ways to go. But that being said, look how deep this trough goes. This is a very intense looking trough. It's a neutral tilt that eventually goes negative with a slight negative tilt orientation here. And this is where it gets kind of interesting here, because this could maybe bring some snow a little further to the south here, maybe even towards the Appalachians here. Could see some notable snow. And then maybe a little further to the south, maybe even North Georgia could see some snow, northern Alabama as well. Even parts of South Carolina and North Carolina could get into the action here towards the mountainous regions at the very least. As we continue to go on, we just see a slew of storm systems coming in right behind it, all the way out through the 10-day period that the Euro shows us. GFS is showing something just about identical really at this point. It's pretty congruent. Like I said, starting out, here's our current storm system coming in. But look what happens with this one. It tends to hold up a little bit better together here. It also tracks further to the north. So it could be a lake effect system, but also have some interior snow here too. And then watch what happens with this second system here. Progression's a little bit quicker, and it's a little bit stronger as well. But for the most part, it's also a deeper digging trough. So as a result, I'm starting to maybe wonder if there's a chance that we might see a little more tension further to the north than towards the coast, like what we originally were seeing, like let's say earlier in the morning. And then as this goes on, this takes a negative tilt a little bit earlier as well. So this is what I was talking about progression. The speed of the storm system, the tilt, all of that's going to be a key component here. It also could cause a different type of severe weather. We could maybe see something a little bit more on the lines of something linear, and then maybe some cold air blasting in behind it, maybe increasing snowfall. But also notice that that storm track has changed too. In comparison to where this was turning a little bit later, this is turning a little earlier because of how strong it is too. So like I said, a lot of variables coming into play here. And as we continue to go forward, here's another system coming in behind that. This low almost looks like it tries to get cut off here. And then we start to see a really impressive trough dig in here. And this is going to probably bring in some huge cold air if this comes into play. Keep in mind, we're looking over 300 hours out, so you can't put too much merit into this. Be a little bit careless if you did. And then maybe the pattern stabilizes as we go towards the middle of the month. Keep in mind that 16 days out, it's a long way to go. And, well, I have reason to believe there's probably another storm system lurking back here somewhere, because it's been quiet through a pretty good chunk of December here, so the pattern picking back up. While I hope that this ends up being a little bit quiet towards the back end of this run, because I do think we're going to see some storms. The back half, I'm still questioning that. But anyways, here, if we look at this at a slightly lower level of the atmosphere, we can get an even better look at what's to come here. Time frame being here on the top left corner right here, where I have the cursor. There's our current storm system. Here's our next one. Got really strong low pressure here, and like I said, this seems like it would have the best chance of maybe being a southern snowmaker. Just how impressive this ends up being, still yet to be determined. Like I said, over a week out, a lot of room for changes. And we see another storm system coming in right behind that, and then another big storm system behind that. So like I said, pattern looks pretty crazy right now. So we'll do the same thing with the GFS. Current system follow up behind that. Really impressive look to it. And that cold air, even though that low has made a slight trend more to the north and east a little bit earlier, still brings a lot of cold air into the deep south. So this scenario doesn't necessarily rule out snow, but it definitely favors it a little bit less than the Euro. So depending on what you're rooting for, you either love it or you hate it. And then here's our next storm system coming in. Actually see a bit of ridging here, and this could be kind of concerning to me, because this could set the stage for another severe weather event down the line here to start out the middle of the month. Then towards the back end, and if we look at this towards 500 millibars, you see another cold blast coming in behind this one. And depending on how this plays out, it could be another really impressive, maybe dual threat storm system. Like I said, can't put much merit into this. Be reckless of me to do so. And then right after that, it looks like we start to see some ridging coming back into play again. But like I said, 16 days out at this point, a lot of room for changes, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another storm system sneaking in behind this. Be nice if we do get a break, because by the time we get done with this stormy period, then I'm pretty sure we're all going to be ready for a break here. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, because of it being winter time, the fact of the matter is these storm systems, even if you see a little bit of warm air with it, it doesn't mean that we're going to be getting back into 70s and 80s. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news for anyone that's looking for a reprieve from the cold. For those of us that have been dealing with it, some of us have, some of us haven't. But fact of the matter is, we're gonna still be dealing with some chilly temperatures across the board here. We'll start out actually going in reverse order here with the GFS, and you can see our storm systems rolling through here. Here's a really big one on the 10th. Then here's one to follow up. And then you can kind of see that cold air starting to diminish here. So I do think maybe towards the back end we could see a change. But like I said, 16 days out, just a little bit too far for me to really just say, hey, we're at the end of it. I'd love to give you that good news though. I would love to. But like I said, kind of reckless there. And then if we look at Euro, of course, we're looking at a shorter range here, but one thing that's kind of reassuring is the fact that I'm seeing a good bit of congruency with the height anomaly, at least, or looking at our air masses, so to speak. So that being said, we're just going to have to kind of play some of this later stuff by ear and just kind of update that as needed. Like I said, more or less looking for trends than anything else. And really, to verify it all, you can kind of just take a look at the temperature maps here. We'll go with the Euro first. And you can see the cold air starting to take over more and more as we get further along into the run. And then as we look at GFS, we'll do the same thing. I don't know why it slowed down. There we go. You can see towards the first half of the run, the cold air is starting to really take over and start to dominate. Even starting to see some of those below zero temperatures coming into play. But like I said, once we start looking towards the back half, we start seeing that ridging coming into play towards the east especially. We eventually start to see maybe inklings of a pattern change, but also the concern for severe weather might increase along with this. So this could be a double-edged sword here, so to speak. Another thing to look at here, and usually I favor the GFS, but during this time of year, whatever congruency you can get between models, the better. So I'm going to look at both here. Looking at the Euro, mainly looking for moisture returns here. It's our time frame on the top left corner. I'm actually going to do this manually so that way we can hone in on particular days where we see this blue area right here, which is 60-degree dew points, getting onto shore at the very least. If you see a good moisture nose here, that could be another indicator for some severe weather here. You don't really see it on the 6th, so I'm not super concerned with that. As we go towards the 8th, however, here we go right over here towards Texas, Louisiana coastline in particular, and right on the state border, you kind of see something popping up there. And you also kind of see something on the 9th too, towards southern Georgia, Florida. So like I said, there's a lot of variables that are going to go into that setup, but right now confidence and all the attention is really going to be on the 8th for the moment at least. And then as we go towards the following system, see a little bit better moisture return, going a little bit further inland now towards Texas in particular, that we might have to watch. So if we go towards the GFS run, this is us looking at the moisture returns there. So we'll go ahead and begin looking more or less towards the 8th at this point, because you don't really see anything super impressive this weekend. Not a surprise there. And then as we go towards the 8th, I'm starting to see a little bit more of that trend that I was seeing earlier, albeit we're a little bit further off to the west on this run than what I would like to see. I do see still that evidence being there where we could see something including Mississippi right now, but I'm still questioning it at the moment. Like I said, 150 hours out is a long time, so there's a lot of room for changes with this too. And then you can actually see the low pressure center here as we get into the 9th here. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see a linear mode potentially on next Tuesday here. So definitely something we're going to have to keep an extra close eye on. And then the next system coming in is going to bring a lot of dry air behind it. And then here's our next system after that. There's that moisture nose coming in once more. So I really think the 13th into the 14th might need to be watched as well for potential for severe weather. Maybe even into the 15th too. And then after that, we do see a little bit of a moisture return popping back up here once again, but I just don't think that upper to mid-level forcing is going to be sufficient right now. Like I said, 16 days out, I know I keep beating a dead horse, but you always got to watch out for these small little details like this. Because like I said, even if it doesn't necessarily show severe weather on that particular day, it could set the stage for the following day. So try to continue to find a little bit of evidence here. We'll go ahead and take a look at our lightning flash density over the next 10 days. It's a model this is a model parameter that's specific to the Euro on pivotal weather here. And you can kind of see the activity mainly staying offshore as we go into the weekend here. Could be a few potentially stronger storms, mainly towards the Florida Panhandle, maybe southern Alabama, southern Georgia. Nothing to really make note of at that point right now. But here we go, looking at our day of interest, which would be next Monday evening. So this will most likely be a nocturnal threat, which I'm very concerned about. But you can see increased probabilities of storms over here towards Louisiana, towards Texas. So it's still kind of lining up with that trend that I've noticed off to the west a little bit right now. We'll still have to, of course, play it by ear, because this could easily shift back towards the east or even shift further to the north. Really depends on moisture return and upper level dynamics here. As we go into the 9th, more activity towards the Gulf Coast, and then after that point we kind of slow down on the storms for the meantime. I think winter weather starts to take over briefly before we start to see storms sneak back into the picture beyond this point. Fortunately, this model isn't on the GFS, which kind of sucks. Or at least not on pivotal weather. If there's any way you can fix that in pivotal weather, let me know, guys. Anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the precip types. I already know this has been a long video for you guys. I apologize, but it's a lot of ground to cover too. So here's our upcoming storm system. It's even got little freak areas of some mixed precipitation here towards the deep south here. I'm not too sure I buy that, but okay. We'll see this storm system head off to the east here. Nothing of major note. This is going to be towards the 4th. Now here's our bigger storm system coming in. And there's potential for a little bit of severe weather off the coast here. Some mountain snow towards the Appalachians, especially towards the southern Appalachians here. And then eventually this becomes a much bigger, almost nor'easter type storm here. In fact, I would say this is a nor'easter. It looks like it gets itself together quite nicely. That moisture is sitting in a perfect spot, right with a cold right on top of it. So New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, snow might be on the way. Snow looks to be on the way here. It's not really even a question of maybe there is. It looks like some snow is likely Sunday night into the morning hours, and it looks like it'll hang around for a bit. You may see a slight change over to rain, but I think we'll end up finishing out mostly as snow. And here's our next system coming in. We're literally right on the coattails of that. This is where our severe weather concern is, mainly over here. So even though I'm not entirely sold on exactly what we have going on here yet, I think this is the area of interest right there. So with that in mind, we'll watch that move out. And then on the back side of this, if we can get some moisture along with this cold air, we could get some confluence bands here. And maybe we could get some snow a little bit further down to the south here. I would go as far to maybe not even rule out Atlanta, but I think Nashville, Louisville, Bowling Green, we could see some form of wintry precipitation as we go from the 9th into the 10th here. And then as we continue to go forward here, here's another system coming in right on the coattails of that one. This one kind of looks more like an Alberta Clipper system, so it's not going to be much of anything other than some light snow, maybe some lake effect snow, and then another system right on the coattails of that one. Like I said, these storms are kind of lining up almost in a little freight train type mode here, so each of these will end up varying in intensity, but even then, like I said, the weather pattern is just going to be very active from this point forward here, it looks like. Now, the interesting thing to note, and this is why I keep saying tale of two models, GFS is kind of giving the southeast a little bit more of a chance towards snow. And then as we continue to go on here, of course, we have a lot of model agreement, although it's a little bit more aggressive with the snow totals over here towards the northeast. But the track of the low ends up being a little further closer inland, so that could result in either heavier snow or maybe even rain. It depends on how the GFS continues to trend and if this outcome even occurs. Even so, it looks like both models right now are showing the potential for potentially even heavy snow over towards the interior northeast and also the coastal northeast as well. Not to mention the mid-Atlantic also. Like I said before, if we look back towards the west as well, continue to see the atmospheric river ongoing. Perhaps not as significant as last year right now, but still something that I'm pretty sure a lot of you are like, oh no, here we go again. If you're living out towards, let's say, the Sierras, over towards Cali, over towards Nevada, Oregon, Washington. So here's that next system. Like I said, if you get some moisture wrapping around on the back side of that, we could see some notable snow even towards the southeast. But the track of that low and also the progression of it, the earlier negative tilt, I think is going to end up even stiffing some parts of the northeast. You'll see a little bit of snow, but you'll likely finish out as rain starting out. And then lake effect snow could be a big thing with this system as well. It definitely looks like it could trend towards it. And after that point, here's our next system coming in behind that. And it's just going to then after that, like, look, I don't even need to say much else. It just, storm after storm pretty much coming in after this point. Some of these will be clippers, some of these will be much bigger. But fact in the matter is, man, it's going to be a lot to keep up with. But that being said, if you made it to the end of the video, because I know it was a lengthy one, appreciate you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up if you appreciate everything that you've heard so far. It's been talked about pretty widely across the board here from a lot of the weather community here. So you're going to see a lot of buzz on this in the future. But that being said, it's been a long day on my end, so I'm going to pretty much call it a night. Don't forget to like. If you're new, definitely hit that subscribe button and also hit that share button. I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's a fact. Till then, it's been Metalhead Weatherman. Horns up. I'll see you next time. Happy New Year.